Well, there's another rock that we got to
There's
talk about.
another rock we got to talk about.
This rock.
You know?
The sorority girls might get me because that's also there. But anyway.
Yeah, but that's not the one we talking about, and
I
that's not
know,
what's famous in hip hop.
but theirs came first. But anyway,
That's true.
huh?
That's true. Theirs came first.
Theirs came first. So anyway, Memphis Bleek, my favorite member of Rockefeller, as it once was. You know that. I don't think they know that, but
I don't think they know that.
Memphis Bleek is my favorite member of the Rock. Always has been since he came out. I even tried to date a boy who looked like him because I love Memphis
Oh,
Bleek so much.
all the dating tea is coming out during this episode.
I was in high school. I was 16. I was like, oh my gosh, he kind of looks like Memphis Bleek. I actually think my friend came to me and was like, I have a friend who they nicknamed Bleek because he looks like Memphis Bleek. I was like, send me to Addie, girl. I gotta stop drinking on the pot. Anyway,
Probably a good idea.
I gotta go back to my 0-calorie drink.
Yeah,
Anyway,
probably.
I'm not drunk, but Memphis Bleek is starting a podcast, which I'm really excited about. Roc Solid, ROC Solid.
Yep.
Make sure if you're gonna look it up, you do look it up as ROC Solid because there are other Roc Solids out there. But yeah, he's starting a podcast, and he put out the teaser this week. He put out the teaser either yesterday or today.
It was yesterday.
Okay.
I was trying to see if there's some kind of official release. Okay, no, that's about music. I was trying to see if there was some kind of press release, but I don't see any yet. But yeah, Bleek dropped a trailer. It is a podcast that's going to be called Roc Solid, as you said, ROC space Solid. And the trailer is pretty interesting. He's got a lot of old Rockefeller people up there. You see Guru up there, Chris up there, Freeway up there. Ja Rule is up there having some interesting back and forth
Nori.
dialogue. Who?
Nori.
Nori, yeah. And so I think that's awesome. I think this is cool. And what's even more interesting to me, beyond the existence of this podcast, is that it seems to be a subsidiary of Drink Champs.
It is. I checked it. I did some digging on the internet, and it appears to be a part of the Drink Champs network. Yes.
Yeah, and so that's really interesting to me. That this exists this way. For a while, Nori has discussed doing other podcasts. He's discussed creating a network and legally having a network.
Mm-hmm.
He's discussed it on his platform. He's discussed it on other platforms. And so I think this is really, really interesting that we're seeing Nori now start to do other podcasts. I'm curious about what level of involvement Nori will have. Will we see him on camera? Will he just be there as a guest? Where will this live? Will it have its own RSS feed? Will it have its own YouTube channel, or will it just exist where Drink Champs exists? Because Drink Champs has multiple licensing deals, which Nori has discussed as well. So I think this is really, really interesting because I know Nori said a while ago on Joe Budden podcast that they have, because it's not just him, it's him and DJFN. They have licensed the video to certain platforms, but they have a quote unquote record deal for the audio only stuff, and which is super fucking smart. But I'm curious to see where all of this Roc Solid stuff will go. I saw one of the questions in the trailer is, would you have Dame Dash come up here? Bleek said absolutely.
Of
And so
course.
I think that will be interesting. And I am super curious if quote unquote Big Homie will make an appearance.
I hope so.
I don't
I,
think so.
I don't know that he will. And I feel like Bleak will speak to that at some point. But because I feel like he doesn't shy away from, he's very
Yeah,
transparent
it's
about their
pretty open.
relationship and um and he'll probably be like, I tried to get Jay to come up here, but he big time. So I
Right.
feel like
That
that's
is
exactly how he's gonna
that is what
say
Bleak would say.
it.
Yeah.
And he's totally fine with that. I love their relationship. So
Same. Always have.
um yeah, and he always speaks highly of him. So, he knows the game. He understands the game. But it would be nice to see him there. It would be nice to see him support him. I feel like if he could do a Gail King fluff piece, he could do a little something for his boy.
Yeah.
Here's my thing. It's your friend, so your friend would be okay with you tailoring it to your needs, right? Like I don't think
That depends
I
on the
don't think
platform you build though.
no, hold on. I don't think that Bleak is gonna let him get away with a fluff piece. But I think that if there's things that for Jay that's off limits, I think that Bleak would respect that. So I think that between the two of them, they would be able to find middle ground because they know each other. It's different when you have a stranger interviewing you.
Hmm.
There are ulterior motives. I feel like Bleak wouldn't have ulterior motives with Jay, so they could find a happy medium between these things I can't talk about because of my political connections, but I will talk about this because there's a lot that has gone down over the years. He's probably not going to sit up there and talk about the relationship with Dame Dash or anything like that, but Bleak also likes to reminisce. So I feel like it would be really cool if they did just sit there and kick it and reminisce about some of the old stuff that happened. And it doesn't have to be, oh, this went sour, or because I'm sure Jay doesn't want to involve himself in stuff like that. So I'm kind of hoping that, I know it's a long shot, but I'm kind of hoping.
I think it depends on the platform you build. I think if you are on some, hey, we're giving you the raw truth of what was going on behind the scenes,
Mhm.
I don't think Jay Z wants anything to do with that type of a platform. Now,
Mhm.
if you're going to have Jay Z come up there and, like you just said, we're just going to reminisce and have a good time, sure. But nobody wants to see that on a platform that's quote unquote built off the raw truth that's going on behind the scenes, because then it's going to look worse than a fluff piece. It's going to look like you just, I don't want to say what the kids say. So let me say, it's just gonna look like you bigging up Jay the whole 3 hours.
Mhm.
Nobody wants to see that if that's the platform you've built, which is what this trailer kind of looks like. It looks like we're gonna keep it real about shit that was going on back then while we're reminiscing. And I don't think Jay-Z will want anything to do with that in today's climate, because there's too much that Jay-Z will have to keep it real about that I don't think he wants to talk about, like you're saying. So
Yeah.
Dame, yeah, Dame don't give a fuck. Dame gonna
Oh,
come up there
he's
and say whatever.
say
He's
whatever.
down to argue. He's gonna stand on what he believes happened, whether you agree or not. And I think that will be an interesting place for Dame to go.
Yeah.
But I don't think Jay is coming out of Mount Olympus to come down to deal with the rest of us poor peons. I don't think that he's gonna be
Yeah.
interested in that. If, again, I'm saying if that's the type of platform that it becomes. Now, also as a consumer, I love Jay-Z and I love Bleak. Huge fans of everything that was going on with Rockefeller back then. But I don't want to see Jay just get big up for 3 hours. I don't want to hear 3 hours of Jay, you my boy, and you the man because of this. Oh, remember when you did this? That made you even more the man. Man, when you did that Samsung deal, a lot of niggas owe you a check because
No.
I don't want to hear that for 3 hours either.
Kind of think of it as, like I said, Bleak is a very nostalgic person. If you watch if you watch interviews, I know you have, but I'm just saying in general, if you watch interviews of Memphis Bleak, one thing that he is good for is a story. He will tell you a story about, back in '99, this is what we were doing, blah blah blah, XYZ. I was walking down the street with Jay, and this happened. This man approached
Yes.
us, and he's really good at storytelling.
Yeah.
So no, I don't necessarily think that it's gonna be, or that it would be, um him bigging up Jay so much as it would be, like, this was super cool that this thing happened, or like this was a really wild thing that happened to us, or that's kind of how I would think of it. And I totally understand what you're saying, and I think you're right. I think it's a long shot getting Jay-Z to do this, but I
It
do think,
depends it depends how the platform is. That's
yeah,
what I think.
but I do
Because
think
can Bleak make it happen? Of course. But I think depending
anybody
on
can.
the platform you build, yeah, of course, right.
Yeah.
But I think depending on the platform you build, Jay might not want to. It may do more it may do him more harm than good. Because everything you're saying about Bleak's interviews is true. And the piece you're missing is he always makes sure to say, quote, "That's why Jay's that nigga."
Okay. Well, yeah.
And so I totally agree, and I'm a Jay-Z fan, but I don't want to hear Jay you that nigga for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So, and I'm saying 3 hours because podcasts sometimes are long. But um, I'm curious to see how this platform is going to be built out, what their brand identity will be. I see the bottles on the table in the trailer. I'm wondering, is this the Drink Champs Rockefeller version, where
Yeah.
cats are going to come up and get drunk, or is it just the bottles are on the table because I'm an owner of this liquor, because I'm CEO of this liquor? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm curious what type of podcast this is going to be. Are they going to talk just about back then? Are they going to talk about things that are happening now? I mean, I don't know. I'm curious, but I will be checking it out. I'm very happy for Bleak. I'm very happy for Nori and Drink Champs, DJFN, and their team, because I know they're the faces of it, but I know it's not just them.
Yeah.
I'm very happy for hip hop that we get more cool content, because I'm sure we'll be able to see and hear some things that are entertaining and cool and fun. And truly, I'm happy that these guys are all still able to have relationships where they feel comfortable enough to come on Bleak's new thing that's starting from scratch. Because yeah, Bleak has a following, sure, but not what it was in '99. Yeah, Drink Champs has a following, a huge following, but
Uh-huh.
this is no longer Drink Champs. This is some new thing that's starting from scratch.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how it will be received. I'm curious to see how it goes, how it's rolled out, what type of
Yeah.
energy they put out. And yeah, as a fan of Rockefeller, as a fan of Bleak and all of these guys, this made me smile. I was very happy to send it to you, and very happy to come speak about it here on the podcast. But I am very curious about a lot of things, how this is going to perform, what type of footprint they're going to leave in the industry with this platform, how much of the Drink Champs tone it will have, how much of the Drink Champs ownership uh, is there.
Yeah.
Meaning how much will we see and hear from Nori about this? Will
Mhm.
it just be something he helps promote when it drops on, I don't know, Saturday morning, for example? Or are we going to see Nori there helping out because Bleak is new to podcasting? I don't know. I'm curious about all of that.
Hmm. I think Bleak could have done. Obviously, when you have guests on your podcast versus a solo pod, it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But truthfully, I think Bleak could have totally done a podcast on his own.
Sure.
Where he
Yeah.
was just like reminiscing, talking about the old times, talking about how things are new, giving his commentary on current things that are happening in hip hop. I think I talked about Rick Ross's charisma yesterday, but Memphis Bleek has a hell of a lot of charisma.
Yep.
He has such a cool personality where he's very down to earth, but he's also very complimentary, like you said about Jay, but about a lot of people. Like
Yeah.
he's really somebody who, like, I'd love to know what people, like, in general say about him, because he seems like one of those people who people just get along with.
Yeah.
Um and I think that I think that podcasting is actually a really good space for him. And I don't say that about a lot of people because I think a lot of people have podcasts, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they should have one.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's a lot of successful podcasts of people who maybe didn't really need to start one. That's just the
Understood.
reality of the game. But Memphis Bleek is somebody who I want to hear from. Like I want, and I think it's so cool that it's under Drink Champs because Drink Champs kind of takes Nori. Nori is he's so much the guy who's like, yeah. So then what happened in 1987 when you talked to what was her
Yeah,
name again?
yeah,
Charlene. He's very much that guy.
yeah.
So I see the alignment there between the two.
And
Um
they're friends. They say that often.
yeah, yeah. So this to me this makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that Drink Champs is expanding. I think that that's also great to see as a podcaster that there is something beyond the thing. You know, you do the thing, but then you're like, there could be so much more in this space.
Right.
I think that we're in an interesting time when it comes to podcasting. I won't get too deep into that. We could talk about that another time if people want us to. But I think we're in a really interesting time where the landscape is shifting with podcasting, and there's a lot of growth opportunities. But we're also having this time where a lot of titles are having kind of this sink or swim moment. Like,
Yeah.
is it really going to work? Or is it really working? Or is this something that maybe just doesn't work for me? Um, so, so yeah, it's an interesting time, and it's definitely a a cool time to see them expanding because I think that speaks to how well they've done over the years, and I think that's
Yeah.
really commendable for them. So
Agreed.
good for them. You know, I hope to see
Right.
more from the Drink Champs Network. I don't watch, so um, and I'm sure people who have been following our stuff for a long time know that I will tune into a Drink Champs interview if it's somebody that I'm interested in or we feel like we need to talk about or whatever. But I don't feel like I have, other than our pod, I don't feel like I have like a hip hop centered podcast right now that I'm really, really into. And I will say I'm nobody.
You
but
learning. You
but
learning.
but I'm really excited about this one. This is something that I could totally see myself listening to regularly, and I've only seen the trailer for it. So
Right.
so that's just my 2 cents. But I'm nobody.
Right.
So
You learning. You see? You getting it. You getting it.
yeah. Yeah. So yeah. That's my 2 cents.